The film commences by unveiling the character of our antagonist, a man named Jack Torrance. Jack is a former educator, a profession he was forced to abandon due to his volatile temper. He's also a recovering alcoholic, battling his demons daily in an attempt to regain control over his life. His past is marred by mistakes and missteps, but he's determined to turn over a new leaf. In pursuit of a fresh start, Jack finds himself interviewing for a caretaker position at the Overlook Hotel. The job, which for now seems mundane, offers him a chance to rebuild his life. It's an opportunity to escape the past and focus on the future, a future where he can return to his true passion, writing. The hotel manager, a man named Stuart Ullman, doesn't sugarcoat the reality of the job. He warns Jack about the harsh winter conditions that will leave him and his family isolated and snowbound for the majority of the season. The risk of cabin fever is real, and the man points out the consequences can be dire. To emphasize his point, Ullman recounts a chilling tale of a previous caretaker, Charles Grady. Grady, driven to madness by the isolation, brutally murdered his wife and 2 daughters before taking his own life. Despite the grim warning, Jack is desperate. He needs this job, not just for the financial stability it offers, but also for the solitude he believes will fuel his writing. He acknowledges Ullman's cautionary tales, but decides to accept the job nonetheless. Parallel to Jack's story, we meet his son, Danny. Danny is a unique child with an imaginary friend named Tony. During a conversation with Tony about the Overlook Hotel, Danny experiences a seizure. He's plagued by a terrifying vision of blood gushing out of an elevator within the hotel, a haunting image that recurs throughout the film. Upon their arrival at the hotel, the head chef, Dick Halloran, takes an immediate interest in Danny. He recognizes something special in the boy, a telepathic ability that he himself possesses. He mentally communicates with Danny, offering him ice cream as a peace offering. He explains that this form of communication, this gift, is something he shared with his grandmother. She referred to it as shining. Halloran also warns Danny about the hotel. He hints at a dark past, a terrible event that left a residual trace, akin to the lingering smell of burnt toast. This trace, he explains, is only perceptible to those who can shine. Danny, curious and afraid, questions Halloran about the hotel's history and about room 237 in particular. He senses Halloran's fear of that room and wants to understand why. Halloran tries to reassure Danny, telling him that the images he sees in the hotel are harmless, like pictures in a book. But he also issues a stern warning. Danny must stay out of room 237. Once the family is alone in the hotel, Jack's mental health begins to deteriorate rapidly. He struggles with writer's block, suffers from insomnia, and becomes increasingly irritable. Danny, meanwhile, is tormented by visions of the murdered Grady girls, but keeps his experiences to himself. He's particularly intrigued and terrified by room 237. While the weather is still relatively warm, Jack's wife, Wendy, and Danny spend time exploring the hotel's grounds. They wander through a maze of tall hedges, turning it into a game. They hit dead ends and make wrong turns, but they always find their way back. One day, as Danny plays with his toys, a ball rolls towards him. It seems to have come from the open door of room 237. Curiosity piqued, Danny entered the room. At the same moment, Wendy is startled by Jack's screams from the lounge. He tells her about a nightmare he had, a horrific dream where he murdered Danny and her with an axe. Wendy, visibly shaken, tries to comfort Jack, promising him that everything will be okay. But then, Danny appears, looking disoriented and frightened. His sweater is torn, and there are bruises on his neck. He doesn't respond when Wendy asks him what happened. In a fit of anger, she accuses Jack of hurting Danny and takes the child back to their suite. Jack is livid at the accusation. He storms around the hotel, eventually ending up in the gold ballroom. He slumps onto a stool at the empty bar, his head in his hands. In a moment of despair, he declares that he would sell his soul for a drink. When he looks up, he's surprised to find a bartender, Lloyd, ready to serve him a drink. Jack is taken aback by Lloyd's sudden appearance, but quickly recovers. He confides in Lloyd, revealing that he unintentionally dislocated Danny's shoulder in a fit of rage. This incident, which Wendy had mentioned to Danny's pediatrician earlier, was the catalyst for Jack's decision to quit drinking. Wendy interrupts Jack's conversation with Lloyd, pleading with him to investigate Danny's claim of being attacked by a crazy woman in the bathtub of room 237. Jack, acting slightly tipsy, reluctantly agrees to check it out. As he approaches the door to room 237, Danny appears to be having a seizure in his room. Back in Florida, Halloran picks up on Danny's distress signal, his eyes wide with fear. Back at the hotel, Jack cautiously enters room 237. The bedroom is empty, and he proceeds to the bathroom. He watches lustfully as a young, beautiful, naked woman pulls back the shower curtain and steps slowly out of the bathtub. The two approach each other and embrace in a passionate kiss. Jack catches a glimpse of their reflection in the mirror and sees that the woman is actually a rotting corpse. He recoils in horror. The young lady standing before him has transformed into an elderly woman, a walking corpse with rotten, sagging skin. She cackles madly while reaching for him with outstretched arms. Stunned, Jack staggers out of the room, locking the door after him. When he reports back to Wendy, Jack denies anything amiss in room 237. Wendy suggests they take Danny to a doctor. Jack becomes irate, lecturing Wendy on her thoughtlessness and blaming her for everything that's gone wrong in his life. Insisting that they can't leave the hotel because of his obligation to his employers, he storms out, returning to the Gold Room, which is now the scene of an extravagant party with guests dressed in 1920s fashion. Lloyd serves him a drink, and Jack strolls through the crowd. He doesn't get far when a butler carrying a tray runs into him, spilling some drinks on his jacket. The butler convinces Jack to come into the bathroom to clean up. The butler introduces himself as Delbert Grady. Jack remembers the story Mr. Ullman told him about a former caretaker named Grady murdering his family, and confronts Grady with the information. Grady denies that anything of the sort took place, and furthermore insists that Jack has always been the caretaker. Jack is confused, but seems to accept Grady's story. Grady goes on to tell Jack that Danny has a great talent and is using it to bring an outside party into the situation, referring to Dick Halloran with a racial slur. Grady advises Jack on how to correct Danny and how to deal with Wendy if she interferes. Back in Florida, Dick has had no luck contacting the people at the Overlook Hotel. Worried about Danny, he books the next flight to Colorado. At the Overlook, Wendy arms herself with a baseball bat and looks for Jack, intent on leaving the hotel with Danny, whether or not Jack agrees to come. Entering the lounge, she spots Jack's manuscript left unattended next to the typewriter. She reads what Jack has been writing, hundreds of pages of repetitions of a single sentence. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. She realizes that Jack has gone mad. Jack approaches from behind and asks sarcastically, "How do you like it?" Wendy shrieks with alarm and wheels around to face him. A confrontation ensues as Jack demands to know her intentions regarding leaving the hotel with Danny, while Wendy retreats, brandishing the bat. She screams at Jack not to hurt her, and he swears that he will not. Instead, he intends to kill her. Wendy hits Jack on the head with the bat at the top of a flight of stairs, causing him to lose his balance and tumble down the staircase, injuring his ankle in the process. Wendy drags Jack's limp body to the pantry and locks him inside, just as he regains consciousness. Jack tells her he has sabotaged the radio as well as the snowcat, stranding them all there. She goes outside to check on the snowcat and confirms what he told her. A few hours later, Jack is roused from a nap by the sound of Delbert Grady's voice. Grady expresses disappointment and a lack of confidence in Jack, but Jack assures him he can get the job done if given one more chance. The pantry door then suddenly opens. Wendy has fallen asleep in her room. Danny is in a trance, carrying a knife and muttering "Red Rum" repeatedly. He takes Wendy's lipstick and writes "Red Rum" on the bathroom door. He begins shouting "Red Rum," which wakes Wendy. She clutches him to her, then sees the reflection of the bathroom door in the mirror. Reversed, it reads "Murder." At that instant, banging sounds started coming from the door to the hallway. The sound is Jack swinging an axe at the locked door. Wendy grabs Danny and locks them in the bathroom. She opens a tiny snow-covered window and pushes Danny out. He slides safely to the ground. She tries to get out the same window but cannot fit. She tells Danny to run and hide. Meanwhile, Jack has chopped his way through the front door and called out, "Wendy, I'm home!" Jack then knocks politely on the bathroom door. Wendy holds the knife and tries to steady herself as Jack begins chopping into the door. After chopping away one of the panels, he sticks his head through and screams, "Here's Johnny!" Jack sticks his hand through the door to turn the lock. Wendy slashes at him with a knife, cutting Jack's hand and sending him recoiling in pain. Jack continues to hack at the door with the axe until they both hear the low rumble of an approaching snowcat engine. He stalks out. The snowcat driver is Dick. Inside the hotel, he calls out, but gets no reply. Jack, hiding behind a pillar, leaps out and swings the axe into Dick's chest, killing him. Danny, hiding in a kitchen cabinet, screams, revealing his location. He clambers out of the steel cabinet and runs outside. Meanwhile, Wendy has ventured from the bathroom and begun to search for Danny. The hotel has sprung to life, and now even Wendy encounters its ghosts, sights that shock and horrify her. At the same time, axe-wielding Jack turns on the outdoor lights and follows Danny into the hedge maze. Danny realizes he is leaving a trail of footprints in the snow for Jack to follow. He carefully retraces his steps, walking backwards in the same prints he just created in the opposite direction, then covers the rest of his tracks and hides behind a hedge. When Jack arrives, he sees that the trail of footprints ends abruptly, giving him no clue as to which direction Danny took. He chooses a path and lurches deeper into the maze. Danny comes out of his hiding spot and follows his own footprints back to the maze's entrance. Wendy makes her way out of the hotel just as Danny emerges from the maze. Relieved, she flings down the knife and embraces him. Jack bellows his frustration from within the maze. Danny and Wendy waste no time escaping in the snowcat that Dick used to get to the hotel. Jack, hopelessly lost in the maze, freezes to death. Right before the end credits, the camera slowly zooms in on a wall in the hotel full of old photographs that chronicle the hotel's history. An old recording of Midnight, the Stars, and You echoes in the empty hallway. In the center of one picture is a young Jack. The caption reads, "Overlook Hotel, July 4th Ball, 1921, implying that Jack has a more complex and sinister background than that of what we saw. And with that, the movie ends. I hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen and don't forget to subscribe for amazing videos. See you in the next one.